Hello, Math 7. Today we're going to start talking about probability. We're on chapter 10 now. But at first we're going to talk about events and outcomes. A lot of this chapter is going to have word problems, so we're going to have to start identifying our terms so that later in the chapter we're not too confused when I start throwing them at you. The first thing we're going to do is identify the fact that we're going to be talking about a lot of experiments. In the case of this math class, we're going to be talking about predicting the outcome or the result of some type of test. So kind of like science, but in this case we're mostly going to be predicting or saying what the chance is that something happens. Inside every experiment, you're going to have outcomes. An outcome is just a result of the experiment. However, an experiment can have multiple events. So an event is when you test something out, and you can do multiple trials within the same category of experiment. And I'll give you a few examples of those in a minute, so it's going to become a lot more clear once we do that. So go ahead and make sure you write this down so that you're able to tie these terms to the concepts we're going to be talking about in just a minute. Every experiment has events, can have one or more, and every event has outcomes, one or more. So let's now talk about what that looks like practically. So in this case, our experiment is to say, how many blue marbles will I pick from the box? I circled blue because that's going to become important later when we talk about our results. For now, we've identified that our experiment is just the concept of how many blue marbles will I pick. Well, let's identify what the event is. An event is something that has outcomes. So it's just basically a trial or one instance of getting results. In this case, the event is me sticking my hand into the box to pick a marble. So the event is simply picking a marble. So you can kind of tie it with the idea that at the moment that you're choosing something, that is an event, it's something that happens, and it will have results. Let's talk about our outcomes. When the event is picking a marble, well, obviously the outcome that you get will be the marble that you choose. So looking at this, every one of these marbles represents an outcome. How many outcomes are there? Let's count. There are 15 possible outcomes in this experiment. When we're doing our homework, you're going to be asked how many favorable outcomes there are. In an experiment, a favorable outcome is one that satisfies the requirements of the original problem. So in this case, it says that we want to find blue marbles. That means every blue marble in the box represents a favorable outcome, meaning that when we count here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 favorable outcomes. Here's another example. Our experiment is a spinning wheel where I want to spin an odd number. What if I want to find out what the event is in the case of our spinner? So if an event is something that produces results, well, here is the clue. It's a wheel that spins. So our event will be every single time we spin that wheel. Okay, let's talk about outcomes. There are 8 possible outcomes on this wheel, and they're all numbered for us nicely. But in terms of the problem, where it tells us that we want to spin an odd number, then our list of favorable outcomes is slightly different. Our favorable outcomes are all the numbers that are odd. So in this case, we say 1, 2, 3, 4 favorable outcomes.